What's up, guys? Ben here, bringing you another video today. It is Sunday morning, and man, it has been an insane 12 hours in Rostermania. Prior to this, we've gotten a lot more clarity on what Thieves is looking like, Falcons is looking like. We're taking some guesses on what FaZe is looking like. But we finally gotten some clarity on where ReeaL is going, and it was not without a lot of drama. In the last 12 to 18 hours, he was going to Toronto, then he was going to Miami. At the 11th hour, he decided to go to Toronto, and there was a lot of drama involved. There's a big breakdown between fan bases of Miami Heretics and Toronto Ultra, KOI. Let's cover it all. Let me give you guys kind of the timeline and my thoughts on what's going on here and try to make some kind of attempt to break down what I think is the craziest transfer saga of Rostermania maybe I've ever seen. All right, so this is basically the net of it, like, you know what I'm saying, like at the end. ReeaL to Toronto after a chaotic night. This is from Ronnie. Overnight, so you see 4:50 East Coast time, and basically at the 11th hour he decided to go to Toronto after like talking to Miami. Basically, to give you guys the like pre to yesterday context, you know, he obviously had a lot of different offers from a bunch of different spots. Toronto was the biggest offer at one point. Miami upped their offer yesterday, and then he decided to go to Toronto, and that's where a lot of this breakdown is going on, because we thought like pretty much as of, you know, yesterday afternoon, you know, he was going to go back to Miami. They were going to run back their team, and you know, they were being competitive to what Toronto was offering. This is based on context that you probably saw a couple of days ago, or, you know, at this point about 24 to 48 hours ago, where Heretics management was complaining in Discord that Toronto was offering like 3 times what Miami was offering. So, you know, I assume in order to make this done, Miami came up off that offer and got close to maybe equaling or exceeding what Toronto was offering him. And yeah, as of like 4 p.m. East Coast time yesterday, this is what we thought was going on. So like we talked about it in the afternoon yesterday. I was on stream with Zinni and Shotzi, and I think Damon was in there at some point, some other people. And I had said, you know, I had heard that, again, Toronto going into the day was the biggest offer. Then Miami had now upped it to match or exceed what Toronto was giving. So Miami didn't want ReeaL to go to KOI. And if you know anything about the history of this, like Toronto had tried to get ReeaL a year before last offseason. They had offered like 60 or 70K buyout. And at the time, Miami Heretics had refused that. And so, you know, they were trying to make attempt number 2 in 12 months. And then the other angle on this coming in is that KOI and the Heretics are like rival orgs. It's like Yankees, Red Sox, Rangers, Celtic, I don't know, Barcelona, Real Madrid, a Boca River. You get my point. Like Ohio State, Michigan, like these are rival teams and organizations. And then at some point, you know, last night, well, I'll say it's around like 7:30, 8 o'clock East Coast time, ReeaL tweeted the contract gift. And at that point, you know, the classic contract gift that you see here, at that point we thought, okay, you know, he's going to Toronto and he's, you know, signed it. But then we started seeing some tweets hit the timeline, and this is from a big Heretics fan, tweeting at around 1:36 his time, so it's about like 8:36 p.m. East. It's the worst night of my life. Tomorrow I wake up and this is a lie. And we saw a bunch of other people in the Heretics world tweeting out like, you know, they were, you know, not able to get ReeaL, and he had actually decided to go to Toronto. Method Sick was responding to an iBuyLanos tweet. iBuy like earlier in the afternoon. If you don't know who iBuyLanos is, listen, he is like probably the biggest he might be the biggest streamer in the world. Definitely the biggest non-English streamer probably in the world, at least on, you know, non like Chinese platforms, stuff like that. But like he's a massive he's probably the biggest creator in Spain, basically, outside of some footballers. And he tweeted this whole thing, and it's kind of a meme from the KOI world, to be honest, based on some League of Legends stuff. But it seems like iBuyLanos might have come in at the last minute to try and get ReeaL in, because if you actually scroll through this, you see that when ReeaL tweeted that contract gift, iBuyLanos responded with this Neymar edit. So, okay, like everybody's breaking down. There's like 8 p.m. You're getting like Method Sick, who's the coach of, you know, Heretics, tweeting at fans, complaining about the Spanish project, blah, blah, blah. And then we get to this morning. So I woke up to this. It's came posted about 9:30 in the morning today. Miami in a statement, and I'm going to skip most of it. You can read it. It's still on Twitter. And basically what they complain is that about 4 p.m. East Coast time yesterday, ReeaL had verbally accepted the offer from Miami. And as they were drafting the contract, he had decided to go to Toronto. And they were claiming that the player and his agent had violated a verbal agreement that they had made with the org. Chris Puckett's replied this tweet. Shout out to my boy Chris. He's He's been an absolute legend to the scene, and not, you know, he's always going to speak his mind. I kind of agree with Chris. Like, I think their verbal agreement part here is probably stretching it a bit, if I had to guess. You know, it might be mistranslation or miscommunication between the parties. And I agree with Chris. It's not real till it's in writing. And look, maybe, you know, ReeaL really enjoyed the terms that they had sent to him at that point at 4 p.m. East Coast time. And he said, I'm really strongly thinking about it, but I got to, you know, take a second. They took that as they may have took it as, you know, we have this in the bag, like, you know, screw the guys over at Ultra KOI. And then obviously ReeaL decided to go in a different direction. So then ReeaL replied, and I'm looking at the post here on Reddit because he actually deleted his tweets as of the time we made this video. He replied this and said, this is a sad situation. The bosses are coming out and making it public how they were forcing one of my team members to cut more than half their salary so I could stay. And they don't even talk about the conditions my colleagues have. And he's not going to accept an offer that benefits me but hurts his colleagues. So he's trying to say he didn't want to go there if he felt like other people within the org were getting screwed. That's why he wanted to go to Toronto. And then the Heretics founder, Gorgo, denied this shortly after ReeaL posted. And then Method Sick actually kind of low-key confirmed what ReeaL said was the truth, that he was offering to cut his salary in order to make the situation work. I think really the sum of the chat on this breaking point tweet is really, it's just a mess, bro. It's a mess. And really what happened here is that ReeaL made a last 11th minute hour decision, and everybody at Heretics is breaking down because he's going to a rival org, and it's just a cluster F. And so let's get into what it means for Miami Heretics. What does it mean for Toronto KOI? What does it mean for this rivalry going forward? Because I think this really makes the Miami versus Toronto matchup very spicy now that a player has left one rival team to join another rival team. I think for Miami, this is obviously a massive loss. ReeaL was excellent for them this season, and you know, the all Spanish project, it's going to be really tough to pull off now. If I had to guess for Miami, I think they'll probably now keep medals in the team, and my guess is they will also chase the high of a Spanish-speaking player who can definitely shoot back and run it down. And so I think they will go with try to get Snoopy off of Boston to round out the roster. So you get 3 Spanish players, and you get Snoopy, you know, who's from Mexico, who can speak Spanish, obviously different dialect, but he'll be able to figure it out. And that team's pretty solid. It's not, I think, as good as their past team, but I think it's pretty good. As for Toronto KOI, so this I think is massive for Toronto. One is they finally get ReeaL because they tried to get him last offseason and it didn't work out. Now, Ultra is rebranding into KOI, which is a Spanish-based brand. That's like their parent company, right? Overactive Media is now Overactive KOI, whatever they're called. And so they're going to be introducing and bringing these Spanish fans, these KOI fans, to the world of COD, because I don't think a lot of them were probably watching COD before all of this stuff broke down. And now you do this rebrand, you have one of the best Spanish players in the world on your roster. Like, that is a big coup for Toronto Ultra. Now, how will they round out their team? I think they will end up in total bringing Kleenex back. And my guess is he will probably be running an AR on this team if he needs to. And then who will be the 4th? I think at this point, they will probably keep Jamie inside on the roster one last time and give it a go. I think Dan Ghosty could be a good fit here, obviously, but I have a sneaky suspicion Toronto's just going to run back 3 of the 4 from last year and just bring in ReeaL and call it a day. Because their roster last year wasn't that bad. They just keep getting 3rd and 4th placings. Like, they couldn't get into that final. Their team was solid. So I think at the end of the day, Toronto gets better. Miami probably gets a little bit worse. And to be honest, I really want to see this as like the first match of the season. Give me this match on that Friday at 3 p.m. Give us this match. It's going to be spicy. It's going to be bloody. There's going to be smack talk. There's going to be tweets. This is now was already a big rivalry, situation in COD. But now with this drama, it is like taking this to another level between the fans and the players and the coaches and owners. Like, it's a real spice, and I want to see it instantly once the CDL restarts. And I think one last thing before we end this video, I saw this interesting tweet from Cap as we were recording this video, and his thoughts on the Miami Heretics response. Orgs trying to guilt trip, and in this case vilified players, always pisses me off. Players have a short window to be pro and make the most of it, and should be selfish about off-season decisions. Posting this as if he betrayed the Spanish-speaking community is such a weak move. I mean, this is like very on brand for Cap. So I'm curious what you guys think about this, and let me know in the comments what you think. Did you like how Miami conducted, themselves post a decision? Did you hate it? Let me know in the comments what you think about all the drama that happened here. And yeah, that'll do it for now. We're going to keep covering Rostermania on the channel, so make sure you check it out, follow for more. And as always, guys, we'll see you guys on the next one.